Aaron had never seen a place like this before. The great space station floated above a glowing moon, its silver surface shining like glass under the stars. From the balcony windows of the station, he could see the moon's pale light stretching far into the black sea of space. Ships from different worlds came and went, their lights crossing paths like fireflies. He stood quietly near the entrance hall, his hands folded behind his back. Though he was only a young human representative, chosen more for his honesty than his experience, Aaron felt the weight of the moment. This was not just a gathering of worlds, it was a chance for peace and friendship between races that had once looked at each other with caution. Inside the grand hall, voices of many languages filled the air. The room was alive with colors, banners from distant planets, glowing crystals from stars unknown, and beings of different forms moving gracefully among each other. Some were tall and thin like shadows, some short with golden eyes, and others wore robes that shimmered with faint light. Aaron moved carefully, trying not to appear nervous. He reminded himself that he was here to represent Earth, to show that humans could be trusted, that they had more than just strength. He had promised himself he would listen, learn, and prove that humanity had a place among the stars. It was then that he noticed her. Across the hall, near the curved window where the starlight spilled in, stood a figure unlike the others. She was tall, with skin that carried a faint glow, as if touched by moonlight itself. Her hair flowed like soft silver threads, and her eyes, clear and calm, held the stillness of deep water. She was speaking with two of her own kind, their gestures slow and measured, but there was something about her presence that drew his gaze again and again. Her name, he later learned, was Lyra. She was not only an envoy but also one of the most trusted voices of her people, a race known for wisdom and grace. Unlike the others, she seemed less interested in the noise of politics and more drawn to the silent view of the stars outside. Aaron found himself stealing glances, curious but unsure. He had heard stories of her people, how they valued calm minds and pure intentions, and how rarely they spoke with strangers. He wondered if she would even notice someone like him, an ordinary human with no special power or title. The evening moved on with speeches and greetings. Aaron shook hands, bowed when needed, and tried to smile, though his thoughts often drifted toward the quiet envoy near the window. He felt almost foolish. Why would he, of all people, be interested in her? Yet something in his heart whispered that it was not foolish at all, it was real. Later, when the hall grew louder with music and laughter, Aaron stepped away from the crowd. He walked toward one of the balconies, hoping to breathe in the silence. The door slid open, and cool air touched his face. Outside, the vast moon glowed brighter than before, its silver light falling across the balcony floor. He leaned on the rail, letting his thoughts rest. For a moment, he simply enjoyed the view. The moon reminded him of Earth's seas, calm and endless. He thought about his home, about the people who had trusted him to stand here tonight. A sense of pride warmed his chest, but also a touch of loneliness. In this crowd of many, he felt like a small star lost in the wide sky. He did not hear the soft steps behind him until a gentle voice spoke. "You like the moonlight too?" Aaron turned quickly. His breath caught. It was her Lyra. She stood a few steps away, her face glowing faintly in the pale light. Her eyes met his, calm yet curious, as though she was studying a puzzle she wished to solve. "I do," Aaron said softly. "It feels peaceful." Lyra moved closer, her hands resting lightly on the rail. She gazed at the moon without another word, and the silence that followed was not heavy, but gentle, almost comfortable. For the first time since his arrival, Aaron did not feel out of place. He felt as though the stars themselves had brought them both here, to this quiet balcony under the silver moonlight. And though neither spoke much more, something passed between them that needed no words, a spark, small but bright, hidden beneath the calm night sky. The hall inside the station was alive with noise and light. Music from different worlds mixed together, and laughter echoed under the tall ceiling. Dancers moved across the glowing floor, and tables filled with strange dishes lined the walls. It was a celebration meant to show unity, but Aaron felt it was too much for him. He preferred the quiet of the balcony, where the moon's soft light made everything feel calmer. The stars above gave him comfort, reminding him of long nights back on Earth when he would lie on the grass and look at the endless sky. Here, even though he was far from home, the stars still gave him the same peace. When the door slid open, he thought perhaps another guest had come to enjoy the silence. But when he turned his head, his chest tightened. It was Lyra. She stepped into the cool night air, her silver hair catching the moonlight as if it belonged there. Her robe shimmered faintly, the patterns on it shifting like ripples on water. She moved with a quiet grace, every step measured yet soft, as though she did not wish to disturb the stillness around her. "I hope I am not intruding," she said gently, her voice smooth like flowing water. Aaron shook his head quickly. "No, not at all. The balcony feels better with company." Her lips curved into a small smile, the kind that carried more meaning than words. She came to stand beside him, her gaze fixed on the glowing moon below. For a while, neither spoke. The silence between them was not empty but full, like the space between stars vast yet connected. Finally, Lyra broke the quiet. "Your world, Earth, it is far from here, is it not?" "Yes," Aaron replied. "Far, but close in my heart. I think about it often, especially when I see a sky like this." Lyra tilted her head slightly, her silver eyes reflecting the stars. "And what is it like? Your oceans, your lands, do they glow like the rivers of my home?" Aaron smiled softly. "Not glow, but shine. The oceans on Earth reflect the sunlight during the day. At night, under the moon, they look endless, dark but alive. Sometimes the waves sparkle when small creatures in the sea give off light. It feels magical when you see it." Her expression softened, curiosity shining in her eyes. "That sounds beautiful. I have never seen an ocean. On my world, we have crystal rivers that run through the valleys. They sing when the wind moves over them. The sound is soft, like 1,000 bells, and the water shines with color when the sun rises." Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, trying to imagine it. "1,000 bells," he repeated. "That must be peaceful." "It is," she whispered, her gaze drifting back to the stars. "But sometimes, peace can feel too quiet. Too still." Aaron turned to her, sensing something deeper in her words. "And what do you wish for instead?" Lyra paused, her hands resting lightly on the balcony rail. "Something alive. Something unexpected. Something that makes the heart move faster, even if only for a moment." Her words hung in the air, and Aaron felt them echo inside him. He wondered if she spoke only of her world, or of herself. The music from the hall grew louder, a new melody filling the space behind them. Lyra's ears seemed to catch it, and she turned slightly toward the sound. "Do your people dance often?" she asked softly. Aaron nodded, a faint laugh escaping him. "Yes, almost too often. Dancing is part of every gathering. It doesn't matter if it's formal or simple. It's just a way to feel alive together." Her eyes studied him, calm yet curious. We do not dance much. My people believe movement should be measured, never wasted. Aaron thought for a moment, then extended his hand slowly, careful not to rush. Would you like to try? Her eyes widened, a trace of surprise crossing her face. For a moment, she seemed uncertain, as if the weight of her people's traditions held her back. But then, slowly, her fingers reached out and touched his hand. Her skin was cool and smooth, carrying a faint glow under the moonlight. Show me, she said quietly. Together, they stepped closer, moving to the rhythm that drifted from inside. Their steps were slow at first, unsure. Aaron guided her gently, and Lyra followed, her movements stiff in the beginning. But soon, she began to relax. Her steps grew lighter, and her body moved with his, like two rivers joining into one flow. A soft laugh escaped her lips, clear and honest, like music in itself. Aaron looked at her, surprised by the sound, and felt warmth spread through him. The world inside the hall carried on, full of voices and noise, but out here on the moonlit balcony, only two figures danced. The stars watched in silence, and the silver moon cast its light over them, as if blessing their first steps into something neither of them could yet name. The music from the grand hall floated onto the balcony, carrying a rhythm that seemed to bridge the worlds between them. Aaron and Lyra moved slowly, their hands joined, their steps small but steady. At first, it was only curiosity that guided them, his curiosity to see if she would trust him, her curiosity to feel something new. Lyra's people were not known for dancing. To them, movement was meant for ceremony or discipline, not for joy. Yet here she was, her silver robe swaying as she tried to follow Aaron's gentle lead. Her first steps were uncertain, her eyes fixed on the way his feet moved. But soon she began to look up, meeting his gaze, and her lips curved into the faintest smile. "You are patient," she whispered, almost as if surprised. Aaron chuckled softly. "Dancing only works when both move together. It's not about rushing." Her head tilted slightly, her silver eyes glowing faintly under the moonlight. "On my world, patience is a rule. But here, with this, it feels less like rule and more like choice." Aaron nodded, sensing she was beginning to understand. "Exactly. A choice to trust, to let the music guide instead of control." The melody inside grew stronger, and Aaron took a careful step to the side, guiding her through a simple turn. Lyra's robe flowed around her like liquid light, and when she faced him again, a quiet laugh escaped her lips. The sound was soft but pure, like crystal touched by wind. Aaron froze for a second, caught off guard. "You laughed." Her cheeks glowed faintly, a sign of emotion her people rarely showed. "I did," she admitted, lowering her gaze. "It has been long since I laughed." "Too long." He smiled warmly. "Then I'm glad I could hear it." For a moment, the world beyond them seemed to fade. The guests inside the hall, the speeches, the politics, none of it mattered here. The balcony had become their own small universe, where the only laws were the steps of the dance and the quiet rhythm of their hearts. Still, not everyone ignored them. A few guests passing the open doorway noticed the sight. Whispers stirred in the hall, curious, surprised, even disapproving. A human and one of Lyra's kind, moving together as if they were partners. It was rare, unusual, something that broke the silent barriers between worlds. But Aaron and Lyra did not notice. Or perhaps they noticed but chose not to care. "Tell me," Lyra said softly, her eyes searching his. "Do all humans dance like this? Or is it only you? Aaron laughed lightly. Some dance better, some worse. I am not the best, but I enjoy it. My people believe dancing is more about sharing than skill. She considered his words. Sharing, that is something we are taught to give with care. Only what is safe, only what does not risk the heart. And do you think this is a risk? Aaron asked gently. Lyra looked at their joined hands. For a moment, she was silent, as though weighing the meaning of the simple touch. Finally, she spoke. Yes. A small risk. But one that does not feel wrong. Her words made Aaron's chest tighten with quiet pride. He knew what it meant for her to admit that. Her people were careful, bound by traditions of calm and distance. Yet here she was, stepping into something unmeasured, something alive. As the music shifted again, Aaron slowed their steps, letting the dance end with a graceful pause. Neither let go of the other's hand. The silence between them grew again, but it was no longer the silence of strangers, it was the silence of two souls discovering something new together. You said before, Aaron murmured, that peace can feel too still. Does this feel different? Lyra's gaze returned to the moonlit horizon. Yes, she whispered. This feels moving. Like the river in spring, when the ice melts and the water flows free. Aaron's heart warmed at her words. He wanted to say more, but the sudden call of voices from inside broke the moment. Delegates were gathering again, speeches were about to continue, and the balcony would soon be left behind. Lyra slowly withdrew her hand, her face calm again, though her eyes held a light that had not been there before. I should return, she said softly. Aaron nodded, though a part of him wished the night could last longer. Of course. She took a few steps toward the door, then paused and glanced back at him. Thank you, for showing me. Her words were simple, but Aaron felt the weight of them. He bowed his head lightly, smiling. Anytime. And then she was gone, slipping back into the bright noise of the hall, leaving Aaron alone under the moonlight. But he was not the same as before. Something had shifted between them, within him. The stars above seemed to shine brighter, as if they too had witnessed the quiet dance of curiosity. The gathering inside the hall stretched late into the night. Delegates shared speeches, traded words of promise, and raised glasses to new beginnings. But for Aaron, much of it passed like a blur. His thoughts kept drifting to the balcony, to the dance beneath the stars, and to the envoy whose laughter still echoed in his mind. When the last round of music faded, the crowd began to thin. Guests left in small groups, their robes trailing softly across the polished floor. Aaron felt both relief and restlessness. He had done his part, listened, spoken when needed, smiled when expected. Yet his heart was unsettled, tugged by an invisible pull he could not ignore. Quietly, he stepped away from the hall again. The balcony door opened with a faint hum, and the night air welcomed him. The moon still hung bright and steady below, painting silver light across the floor. He leaned on the railing, breathing deeply. Again, you come here, said a calm voice. Aaron turned, and there she was, Lyra. She moved toward him with her usual grace, her eyes soft but thoughtful. He smiled faintly. And again, so do you. Her lips curved in the smallest of smiles, though her gaze quickly returned to the stars. For a while, they stood in silence, letting the quiet of the universe surround them. Then, as if a weight pressed on her heart, Lyra spoke. My people would not approve of this, she said softly. Aaron's brow furrowed. Of what? Of me, being here with you. Speaking so freely. Dancing. She paused, her fingers brushing the rail as though the cool metal steadied her. We are taught to guard ourselves. To be a symbol of calm and reason, never swayed by personal ties. Aaron listened carefully. He had sensed her careful nature, the way she chose her words with precision. But hearing it so openly brought a heaviness to the air. That sounds lonely, he said gently. Lyra turned to him, her silver eyes reflecting the moonlight. It can be. But it is also expected. My voice carries weight among my people. If they believe I place my trust too quickly in outsiders, they may see it as weakness. Aaron nodded slowly. He could imagine the pressure of such a role, the constant need to live for others instead of herself. And yet, he said softly, you are here. Her eyes lingered on him for a moment, as though his words had touched something deep within. She looked away quickly, her robe shimmering faintly in the moonlight. Yes. I am here. The silence stretched again, but it was not heavy. It felt like a bridge, fragile but forming, between two distant worlds. Aaron spoke after a while, his voice steady. When I was asked to come here, I didn't know what I could offer. Humans are still new to these councils. We don't have great wisdom, not like your people. But maybe that's why I was chosen, because I don't pretend to be more than I am. Lyra studied him with quiet interest. And what are you, Aaron of Earth? He breathed slowly, then answered, someone who wants to listen. Someone who wants to understand. Someone who believes that trust is not weakness. Her eyes softened, and for the first time that night, her careful composure seemed to ease. She leaned lightly against the railing, her gaze fixed on the vast silver glow below. Trust, she whispered. It is a simple word, but a heavy one. My people speak of it as if it is stone solid, unchanging. But tonight, she paused, her voice almost lost in the night air. Tonight it feels more like water. Moving, alive. Aaron stepped closer, careful not to cross the fragile space between them too quickly. Then maybe water is better, he said. Stone may be strong, but water finds its way through everything. It changes what it touches. Her lips curved slightly, her eyes meeting his again. You speak with more wisdom than you think. He laughed softly. Maybe. Or maybe I just speak from the heart. The stars above seemed brighter, as if listening. A soft wind brushed across the balcony, carrying the faint hum of the station. For a long moment, they stood together, not as envoy and delegate, but as two souls sharing secrets beneath the stars. Aaron felt a warmth grow in his chest, a quiet promise that this connection, fragile though it was, held meaning. Lyra finally turned toward the door. I should return before I am missed, she said gently. Aaron nodded, though he wished the night could last longer. I understand. She hesitated, her hand resting on the doorframe. Aaron, she said softly, almost as if the name itself carried weight. Do not let others tell you your heart is small. Tonight, it feels larger than many worlds. With that, she slipped inside, leaving him once more in the silver light. Aaron stood alone, but not lonely. Her words stayed with him, like a flame in the quiet night. And for the first time since he arrived, he believed that humanity's place among the stars might not be proven only by speeches and treaties but by trust, by connection, by hearts that dared to meet across the distance of worlds. The following morning, the station was not as calm as before. Whispers moved through the corridors faster than the air that carried them. Delegates spoke in low voices, some curious, some sharp, about what had been seen the night before. A human and an alien envoy, together on the balcony, their movements too close to be explained away as mere formality. Aaron heard the whispers when he entered the meeting chamber. Some looked at him with mild amusement, others with doubt. A few avoided his eyes altogether. Though no one spoke directly to him, he felt the weight of their thoughts pressing down like unseen chains. Later, during a short recess, he overheard two delegates speaking nearby. "She is too important," one said. "If she allows herself to be seen with a human in such a way, her people may question her judgment. Or worse," the other added, "they may think she has been influenced." Aaron clenched his fists at his sides but said nothing. He knew words spoken in anger would only feed the fire. Still, the unease grew within him. He had not meant to cause trouble. He had only meant to share a moment of honesty with someone who seemed to need it as much as he did. When the session ended, he walked quietly through the station, his steps carrying him once again to the balcony. He was not sure if she would come. Perhaps after the whispers, Lyra would decide to keep her distance. Perhaps the moment they had shared was already gone. But when the door slid open, he found her there. She stood at the railing, her back straight, her silver hair glowing faintly in the light. Yet her shoulders seemed heavier, as if burdened by invisible weight. When she turned to face him, her calm eyes carried a trace of storm within. "You should not be here," she said softly. Aaron paused, but he did not step back. "And yet, I am. Just as you are." Her gaze dropped for a moment before rising again. "Do you know what they say of us? That I am careless. That I have allowed myself to be distracted. They will use it to weaken my voice among my people." Aaron's chest tightened. "Because of me. Because of us," she corrected firmly. Her voice softened after a pause. "I am torn, Aaron. My heart feels something it has long been denied. But my duty, it does not allow me to follow it freely." He stepped closer, though careful to keep the respect of distance. "Lyra, if anyone doubts you because of me, then let me carry that weight. I would rather face their judgment than see you silenced." She studied him, her silver eyes deep as the moonlit sea. "You speak boldly for one so young." "Maybe," Aaron said quietly. "But I know this, trust cannot grow if it is always hidden. Last night, we trusted each other. That is not weakness. That is strength." Her hands gripped the railing lightly, her voice almost breaking its calm tone. "You make it sound simple. Yet my people live by rules carved into stone. To break them, even a little, is to invite doubt. Doubt is dangerous." Aaron's voice grew steady, his words slow but sure. "And what about silence? What about never letting your heart speak at all? Isn't that dangerous too?" Lyra's lips parted, but no words came. The night air filled the pause between them, cool and silent, as if waiting for her choice. Finally, she breathed out softly. "I should walk away. That would be the safe path." "And do you want to?" Aaron asked, his tone gentle. Her eyes closed briefly, as though she feared the truth inside her. When she opened them again, there was no more storm, only quiet resolve. "No, I do not." The admission felt like a flame in the cold night. Aaron's chest lifted with relief, though he knew the road ahead would not be simple. Lyra turned back to the stars. "If I stand with you, there will be consequences. Some will not forgive it." "Then let them see," Aaron said softly. "Let them know that humans are not just fighters or dreamers. Let them see we can also care, deeply and truly." She looked at him, and in her gaze he saw not just doubt but a fragile hope. For a moment, the stars seemed brighter, as if honoring her choice. The whispers in the hall would not stop. The judgment of others would not fade quickly. But out here, on the balcony, two voices had chosen trust over fear. And in that choice, their bond grew stronger than the shadows that tried to break it. The evening was quiet as the final gathering of the council began. The station glowed softly under the moon, and the stars stretched endlessly beyond the transparent walls. Delegates from every world moved gracefully, exchanging polite words, bows, and gestures. But for Aaron, none of it mattered as much as the small hope that Lyra might seek him out again. He found himself near the balcony before the ceremony truly ended. The air was cooler here, carrying the scent of the station's gardens and the soft hum of distant engines. Aaron's thoughts raced with what had passed over the last days, the laughter, the shared secrets, and the small, unspoken bond that had formed between them. A soft step echoed on the balcony, and his heart leapt. He turned slowly. There she was, Lyra. Her silver hair shimmered in the pale moonlight, and her robe floated around her like gentle water. Her eyes, calm and steady, met his. But this time, there was something more in them, resolve. "You came," Aaron whispered. "I said I would," she replied softly, though her voice carried strength beneath the gentleness. The moon cast a silver path across the balcony floor, and for a moment, it felt as if the world had shrunk to the space between them. The noise of the hall faded, leaving only the hum of the station and the quiet rhythm of their hearts. "I have thought," Lyra began, her gaze distant for a moment, "about what it means to trust, to allow myself to feel something beyond duty. I have always been taught to be careful, to remain a symbol of calm and reason. But I cannot ignore my heart any longer." Aaron stepped closer, careful not to overwhelm her. "Then let it guide you," he said gently. "The heart is not a weakness, it is proof of life, of connection. Nothing is more human, more alive." She looked at him, and for the first time, her expression softened completely. The trace of caution that always lingered in her eyes seemed to fade. "I do not know if the world will understand," she admitted. "But I do know that I cannot deny what I feel." Aaron smiled, a warmth spreading through his chest. "Then we face it together. Whatever comes, we face it side by side." She nodded, her hand brushing lightly against the railing as though steadying herself. "Yes, together." For a moment, neither spoke. They simply stood beneath the moonlight, the silver glow reflecting in their eyes. Aaron felt the quiet strength of her presence, a trust that had taken days to build, now shining in full. The distant hum of voices from inside the hall reminded them that the world beyond the balcony would not wait. Yet here, on this small stretch of moonlit floor, the boundaries of duty, expectation, and fear seemed to vanish. "Do you know," Lyra said softly, "that when I first met you, I thought you would be just another guest, another fleeting presence." Aaron laughed lightly, a sound that blended with the soft wind. "And now?" "Now," she said, her gaze locking with his, "I know that some moments cannot be forgotten. Some people leave marks that even duty cannot erase." He reached out gently, offering his hand. "Then let this moment be one we both remember." She hesitated only briefly before placing her hand in his. The contact was simple, but it carried the weight of their shared trust, of choices made despite fear. The moonlight bathed them, quiet witnesses to the promise they were forging. For a long while, they stood together, neither needing to speak. The stars above stretched endlessly, the silver moonlight wrapping them in quiet understanding. No one in the hall could see the bond forming here, not yet, but it did not matter. Finally, Lyra spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. Whatever happens tomorrow, this choice, this trust, will remain with me. It will guide me through the challenges to come. Aaron nodded, understanding fully. And I will be here, every step of the way. Humanity may be new among the stars, but we know the strength of heart and courage. She smiled faintly, her silver eyes reflecting the moon's glow. Then we begin, Aaron. Not as delegate and envoy, not as human and alien, but as something more. As two beings who trust, and who dare to hope. The moonlight seemed to deepen around them, bathing the balcony in silver. The noise of the gathering inside the hall was far away now. Only the quiet, the stars, and the soft promise of what lay ahead existed. For Aaron, and for Lyra, it was a choice made not out of ease, but out of courage. A choice to step forward together, trusting that the heart, however fragile, could shine stronger than any rule, expectation, or fear. And under the endless stars, they held that choice quietly, letting it bind them in a bond that neither distance nor doubt could easily break. The council gathering had come to an end. Delegates returned to their ships, conversations softened, and the station itself seemed to breathe in relief. The great hall, once alive with music, laughter, and polite greetings, was now quiet. Shadows stretched across the polished floors, fading as the soft glow of the moon filled the corridors. Aaron walked toward the balcony, drawn by habit and by hope. The events of the past days had changed him. He no longer felt like a small human among great delegates. He had found connection, a bond that transcended the boundaries of worlds and races. And tonight, he hoped that bond would be strengthened once more. The balcony door slid open, and he stepped outside. The night was cool, the air carrying a soft hum from the distant engines of arriving ships. Moonlight bathed the balcony in silver, turning the simple metal rail into something magical. Lyra was already there. She stood near the edge, looking out at the glowing moon, her robe catching the light and shimmering softly. Her hair was silver, flowing like liquid under the stars. When she turned to see Aaron, her eyes held a quiet warmth that made him smile. "You came," she said simply. "I promised I would," Aaron replied. "And I meant it?" She nodded, a faint smile appearing. "I am glad. Tonight. I do not wish to hide anything. I cannot." The wind moved softly, brushing across the balcony, carrying with it a sense of stillness and eternity. Aaron took a step closer. "Then let us be honest, with each other and with ourselves. Whatever the future brings, it cannot take this moment from us." Lyra's gaze drifted to his hand, then to his eyes. For a moment, she seemed hesitant, as if the weight of expectation might pull her away. But then she reached out, letting her fingers brush against his. The touch was light, but it carried all the meaning words could never express. "I have tried to follow the rules," she said softly, "to keep my heart distant, my mind steady. But rules cannot stop the feeling. Not when it is real." Aaron nodded gently. "And you are right. Feeling is the proof that we are alive, that we are more than duty or tradition. Trust, care, hope, these are the things that make life worth living, no matter what others say." Her lips curved into a small, genuine smile, the kind that reached her eyes and lit them from within. "Then we face it together," she asked, the question carrying both uncertainty and courage. "Together," Aaron confirmed. They stood side by side, hand in hand, looking out at the moon. The balcony became their quiet sanctuary, a place where no judgment could reach them, and no fear could bind them. The vastness of space stretched endlessly before them, yet it felt smaller than the bond forming here. "Do you think our worlds will accept this?" Lyra asked, her voice soft but steady. Aaron looked at her, determination in his gaze. "Perhaps not immediately. But they will see what we have built, the trust, the courage, the hope. And perhaps they will understand that love, or connection, is not weakness. It is strength. Humanity shines because we care, because we dare to hope." Lyra studied him quietly. "You speak with honesty and bravery. I admire that. Perhaps the stars themselves chose us to meet, to remind us that even across worlds, hearts can find each other." The moonlight seemed to glow brighter in response, bathing them in silver. Around them, the distant hum of the station faded, leaving only the quiet of night, the brilliance of the stars, and the soft, steady rhythm of two hearts daring to be honest. Aaron squeezed her hand gently. "Then let this moment be ours. A memory to carry, no matter what tomorrow brings." Lyra nodded, her smile widening. "Yes. Ours." Together, they turned back toward the hall, walking side by side. Though whispers and glances might follow them, though some might not understand, it no longer mattered. They had chosen trust. They had chosen hope. They had chosen each other. And as they passed under the moonlight, the station itself seemed to celebrate their choice. Humanity had shown not in strength or force, but in courage, in heart, in the willingness to trust and care. Across the distance of worlds, a human and an alien had found common ground. And under the stars, that connection would endure. The balcony remained silent after they left, the moonlight reflecting off the railing, a quiet witness to the moment when temptation had turned into trust, curiosity into understanding, and fleeting moments into lasting bonds. And somewhere in the vastness of space, two hearts shone brighter than any star.